Hello, everyone. Hi, Brenda. Hello, everybody. Good to see everybody again.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Van Geffen. So I'm just going to go over the rules briefly. We have 9 questions, and you will be allotted 3 minutes for each question, at the end of which, and you have a half hour in total. So if you get through the 9, you have 3 extra minutes to go back and supplement if you like, or give us a final closing statement, or say goodnight. It's up to you.
Sounds wonderful.
All right. We are, as you know, sequestering all the candidates, and we would ask that when you're done with your interview, you retire from the board meeting, and as the other candidates have done as well.
Absolutely.
Okay, appreciate that. 3 of our board members are going to be asking the questions, and I think we're ready to go.
Great. Briefly describe your commitment to public education and our local school district.
Well, first of all, thank everyone for being here this late on Friday. I know it's a lot of energy to be this late. Local commitment, my personal commitment. I'm a homeowner. I'm new to Emeryville. I have a daughter who will be enrolled in ECCL, so to me this is my future. It's my family's future. It's where I live. It's where my kids will go to school, and hopefully my other kids that I will have will go to school. So, I mean, this is me investing in my future for my family. So I don't think there is a stronger commitment than someone can have than that.
Thank you.
Question 2, please share any background information that you feel prepares you for a position as a school board member, education, work experience, etc.
Sure. Education, I went to Penn State for advertising, public relations, and business. I went to Santa Clara Law. I've been a practicing attorney for 10 years, handling business litigation, transactional work, regulatory compliance, with a heavy concentration in transportation. In terms of teaching, I was an on-site coordinator at Penn State, where I was responsible for 30 teachers and 300 high school kids who were doing an immersion program where they all went to Penn State and spent, I think it was 4 weeks taking classes and experiencing it. And I learned very quickly what it's like to be in charge of some unruly people. Hopefully, teachers at this school are different than handling 30 college kids that are acting like teachers. That was a different experience. I have been a teacher for Kaplan Test Services and Power Score Test Services. I've been teaching for 10 years in classes between 8 and 30 and been giving lectures for, it's weird to say now, decades, for groups between 30 to 300 people in the legal world and for the various test services that I used to work for. So yeah, I mean, I've got a wide variety of a background, so specific as to administrative background for school boards, I'd be new. I'd be learning on the job, but I think that a new set of eyes is a good thing. I hope that answers your question.
Thanks. So please describe your commitment to ensuring the board functions well and share any prior experience to working on boards or teams.
Absolutely. In terms of making a board function properly, I can speak for myself. I show up 100% of the time, give 100% of myself. I always show up prepared. I do my homework. I'm committed to anything I decide to take on. I don't back down. In terms of experience with boards, I've been on several. I'm on the Oakland Aviation Museum Board of Trustees currently. I've been there since 2011, I believe. I'm on the board of the International Air Transportation Safety Board Bar Association, previously the NTSB Bar. I've been on that board since 2010. I did 2 stints as their editor-in-chief of their newsletter. I've done a couple fraternity things in law school. I started a legal fraternity. It's co-ed, lots of students, but that's more about having fun when everyone's trying to not slit their wrist when they're up 24 hours a day studying. So yeah, I do have a lot of experience on various boards, from nonprofits, legal realm, and a lot of it's about, at least the boards that I've been on, is a lot of it's been about fundraising and dealing with problems as they arise. On the Oakland Aviation Museum board, they call me the bag man, because if something happens, I'm the guy that goes out and starts fighting with insurance companies, fighting with the individuals that put certain donations, but they're actually loans. So they'll take an aircraft that's worth $1 million, park it at the museum, and then they believe they have certain entitlement to the museum, to proceeds, to various things, and I'm the person that has to do that dance with them to explain that, no, you're actually doing this to help the community, and everything's coming back to the museum, and you don't own these employees. You don't get to yell at people and tell them what to do. That's what our director does. And I think I'm now meandering. Hopefully I've answered the question.
Okay, how does the board's role differ from that of the superintendent?
My understanding is that it's the board's job to set budgets, to deal with collective bargaining agreements. It's the superintendent's job to utilize that budget. It's the board's role to set expectations, to work with the community and figure out the direction that they want the school to go in. It's the superintendent's job to initiate that, to engage it, to actually implement what steps and what ideas the community has spoken with the board and the board has agreed to implement. It's the board's job to deal with organizational structure issues. It's the superintendent's job to handle the day-to-day operations within that structure. It's the board's job to ensure accountability. That's not only working with the superintendent, it's saying, hey, here's areas that are working, here's areas that are not, and how are we supposed to address, and how are we going to address those areas that aren't working. And I'm sure it continues further and further after that.
Thank you.
Question 5. With the district's 4 goals in mind, I believe there's a copy there for you. What do you see as the strengths of the Emory Unified School District?
I think there are many. I am coming into this with fresh eyes. When I moved to Emeryville, the ECCL was under construction, so I don't have a preconceived idea as to how the school is supposed to be run. And I think that's a good thing, because walking in here, it's very impressive. You know, people can say, well, that's just a pretty face, what's going on behind the doors, but that means a lot when people walk in with the first impression that they have when you're awed by something. I think that's important. In terms of the 4 goals, economic, political, social, civic engagement, I mean, we're in the Bay Area. We're in Berkeley, Oakland, huge history of civic engagement. That's something that we can draw upon. It's important to engage kids as they're learning and saying, hey, there's a lot of things going on, and you're obviously privy to it because it's in the news, your family's talking about it, and using that as a starting point to have that conversation to expand kids' minds, and that's important. I mean, that's what we have here in the Bay Area. The second goal, 21st century skills, getting kids career and college ready. I mean, we're in a tech hub. There's a lot of, if you turn on TVs and movies, a lot of the things that kids are doing that are flashy and you know, makes high school kids excited about moving on, that's stuff that's done here in the Bay Area. Pixar, tech, all these things, it makes it tangible because it's close. It's something that can be achieved. Whereas like where I grew up, you went to college. There was no actual discussion as to what your career could be because it was, you know, whatever your dad talked about, whatever your mom did. Whereas here, I think there's vibrance. We're also so close to Berkeley that kids can see the excitement. They can see what's, you know, what's drawing students in. I mean, having it so close, it's exciting. I went to Penn State. It's a small town in the middle of nowhere. Pennsylvania's a square. They literally took a corner to corner and drew an X. They built a school, and then the town created around it. And so kids that grew up in that town, it's a whole different mindset because it's small, and I'm meandering. I apologize. It's 8 o'clock on a Friday. It's been a long day. But no, I think being here in the Bay Area, being near Oakland and Berkeley with our long history, and being near Berkeley, it's an opportunity to show kids that, yes, there's a next step. There are options out there, great occupations, great schools, all within reach. Going to the third goal, innovative technology, global awareness. I think there's a lot of overlap between 2 and 3 because part of pushing kids to expand their mind and to want to grow and continue to have a lifelong growing experience is having that understanding of what's happening in the world so that they can have an impact on it. And that goes back to being in the Bay Area where there is so much discussion about what we can do to help the environment, what we can do with politics, what we can do with issues that are dealing with race, sex, all those things are happening here. And I think that's important for global awareness. I mean, anywhere you are in the U.S., global awareness is important because you don't want to foster the idea of, I think, what's the term of the day-to-day, jingoism. You want kids to know that they can work and continue to be a part of the world, that it's global expansion is happening, globalization exists, and so explaining to kids how they can work with technology to be a part of everything that's going on in the world. I mean, that's why I think 21st century skills and the third goal kind of go back and forth. I mean, you learn how to make the world smaller through engaging technology, and we got to figure out a way to make kids not be scared of that idea, because I mean, it is a scary idea to see how big the world is and wonder how much of an impact you're going to have as one person. So being able to engage them and say, hey, there's a school in China doing this one project, and we're going to work with them, and here's what we're going to. I don't know if that's something that we do. That's something I would love to see doing, is like having kids on that projector looking at someone else across the globe and working on a project together. That's how you expand their minds and teach them about globalization. The fourth goal, multi-use city school campus to bring the community together. This is a beautiful facility, and I love all the different community groups, the Earth Day, the movies, the music. Bringing the community in to see how great this place is will inspire them to want to stay here. It'll inspire them to want to give their time, somehow do something to help benefit the school and help with the kids. I mean, we do have less families here, less kids, high turnover in Emeryville, so whatever we can do to drive engagement is important. And this new facility is kind of a beacon. I mean, it's a large project, it's brand new, it's huge, it's beautiful. This is what you need to make that flash in the pan and make people wonder what is going on here and how can they be a part. I think I answered the question.
Thank you. So with the district's 4 goals in mind that you have in front of you, what do you see as the areas most needing improvement for the Emory Unified School District?
I like that you say areas for improvement versus weaknesses. There's always room for improvement no matter what you're doing. Stasis is death. Got to keep moving, got to keep expanding, keep improving. Going back to that first area about economic, political, social empowerment, a lot of that can be helped through diversity, having different opinions, different groups, and we unfortunately lose a lot of people to other school districts. A lot of families that can afford to take their kids elsewhere do, and I think that's an issue. So if we can drive families back here, that increases diversity, it increases conversations, and that's something that if we can drive people back here to be part of the community, that helps in every aspect. That helps in all 4 goals by having more locals involved at the school. Second goal, the 21st century skills. I think there could be room for more engagement with bringing in local businesses in terms of, having someone from Pixar come in and give presentations to the classes and explain, hey, here's what I do. Here's the path I took to get here. Here's ways that you can take steps if this is something that interests you. And there's a lot of different businesses here that we can tap on. But I mean, you can also go through parents and families, bringing in police officers, fire department, just things to keep kids wondering and questioning and getting excited. I mean, I think if you can keep a kid excited and interested, you've done your job. As long as they want to keep being engaged, you've done your job. Third, about technology, rooms for improvement. I mean, this is a new school. There's a lot of great things here. So in terms of weaknesses or areas for improvement, it's really just better utilizing the tools that are here that exist. It's just, I am not too familiar with what the technology program is here, so that's something I need to learn about before I can commit or answer more fully. Fourth goal, about the multi-use, bringing the community together. Earlier I mentioned high turnover and not as many families as there would hopefully be here. So one area of improvement is how can we drive families to bring their kids back here that have left, and then hope that the city brings in more families to come here. So yeah, those are some areas that we could hope to strive to improve.
Thank you.
Great. Of the district's 4 goals, are there any that you do not support? Do you have any additional goals that you think should be considered?
Quick question, has anyone said that there's a goal that they don't support during these interviews? They're all wonderful. They make complete sense. I think 2 and 3, there's overlap, but they're important. It's important to stress the differences. One goal that I would like to see added on, it's tough in today's budget and environments, but I think life teaching, not life teaching, what's the right word? I made a note. Life skills, yeah. One thing I didn't have, because they ended it the year before I started going to high school, was home ec and shop class. I like the idea of kids being taught personal accounting, how to use a checkbook, how to fix their car, how to do gardening, how to do the life skills that if you don't have them at home, then you're not going to learn them unless someone else shows you how to do it. I don't know how we could necessarily bring that other than to create partnerships with groups like the Crucible or other entities that bring people in to push that artistic aspect of it, push the arts, the music. I think life is tough enough, and I don't necessarily think pushing kids to learn only to get a good test grade is a good thing. I don't think that really creates outstanding citizens. I think it creates great test takers. So if there was one thing I could push more for, would be what I'd consider life skills versus career and college skills. Hopefully no one would disagree, but it's hard to get the budget for that kind of thing.
Thank you.
Question 8, are you aware that the district is striving to be a full-service community school, and what does that mean to you?
Absolutely. It means a facility that helps not just the students, but their family as well, and the community, and trying to bring them together. We've got a gym, a pool. We had the senior center that was tied in while they were renovating the other facility. It's important to, have the village to raise kids, and that's hard to do. And when you live in a city, urban environment, people really don't necessarily wave to their neighbors as much as they should. And so having a facility that drives people to come in to meet their fellow neighbors, to meet the other kids, to learn one another, just so and they can say, hey, Jimmy, I know you're supposed to be in school. I'm going to call your mom. Like that's what I think of when I think of a community center. It's creating a community by pushing people together.
Alrighty, last question. What is your commitment to the Emory Unified School District continuing in its current form, and why or why not is this important? Just to clarify, by its current form, we mean a K through 12 environment for the school.
I grew up going to K through 12s, and I love the experience. I know that some people don't like the idea of a second grader being in the same school as an 11th grader, but there are ways to handle that. Different rooms, different buildings, scheduling changes so people come in at different doors at different times, and I'm pretty sure 11th graders don't actually want to be caught hanging out with 4th graders. It'd be uncool. I think it's great because it allows for the opportunity for mentorships. It allows the opportunity for kids to see, students that are doing things to aspire to. So you can have a 12th grader talking to incoming freshmen saying, hey, here's the steps I took, here's where I'm going to college, here's where I have an internship, here's what I've done. And I think it's a good thing. I know that some people want to keep Anna Yates open separately. I think the less crossing of San Pablo by kids, the better, personally. But again, I don't have a strong tie to how things were because I'm new here. And so to me, walking in, this makes complete sense as it is. So I don't think it needs to change. I just think it's about working with what we have, making it better, and bringing people back. So I'm committed to keeping it the way it is because it's the way I grew up and I loved my education.
Thank you.
Okay, how are we doing on time?
It's fine.
Okay,
8 minutes.
so you've got 3 minutes to supplement any of the previous answers or give a closing statement.
I've been up since 4, and I assume the more I talk, the more chance I have to tie my tongue up. So I'm going to close with just saying thank you, everyone, for coming out and seeing the same faces that I've seen through the city council meetings. And we need to expand this group of people that are getting involved in the city. But thank you for interviewing me, and I hope you guys pick the best person for the position. Thank you.
Okay, thank you
Thank you.
for coming in tonight, Mr. Van Geffen, and for putting in your application.
Thank you so much.
Have a good evening.